So whenever you're ready.
Believe it or not, guys, you are now on the internet. All right. Yeah, this will be on YouTube.
Well, it's just for us, though.
Just for us. Okay. So, you guys, you know why we're here. We're going to be talking about our project. We need a light, in which we are discussing ways for you to come up with a persuasive presentation to go before the City Council of Fort Worth to have a light installed at the intersection here at Churchill and White Settlement to help with safety and with traffic issues, and plus address the fact that we are right next to a school, but that seems to be a dangerous stretch of road. So we've asked Councilman Sal Espino. He is the councilman for District 2 in the city of Fort Worth, which is where we actually sit in, to come and speak with you guys. He is going to be giving you some general information. He's also going to be open for you guys to ask him questions, as well as I've provided for him. Because 7th period could not be here as well, he has a list of questions that they have provided to get some answers on. So if you guys get stuck, he does have some questions that he can fall back on to give you some information, as well as he also has a type description of the project. This is going to be available for you in Canvas later on today, so you can also see what he is seeing. He has also talked about how he's going to also be working with us in getting some other city officials and different departments from the city to meet with you guys in some form or fashion, to where you can be able to get more specific information. But he's just going to be talking about general things and then be able to go from there. So that's what we're doing.
All right, well, again, my name is Sal Espino. Everybody calls me Sal Espino. I'm what they call a council member. And I'm just going to start with a brief structure. The city of Fort Worth has 8 council members elected from different districts in the city of Fort Worth, and the mayor is elected at large. The mayor of Fort Worth is Mayor Betsy Price. She is known for having bicycle town halls. You can be on a bike and ask your questions about use of the city. Also walking town halls, and we do caffeinated town halls. I am the representative for what they call Council District 2, which is the northern section of Fort Worth, and includes neighborhoods like Northside, Diamond Hill. This section of Fort Worth that borders River Oaks, the part of Fort Worth that borders Sampson Park, and goes north of Loop 820, includes the Marine Creek area, and north of 820, sections of far north Fort Worth up to 820. The way the city is organized, in addition to 8 council members and the mayor who's elected at large citywide, we have elections every 2 years. We just concluded elections this past May, and I won my 6th term on the council. So the mayor and the council, under our constitution, is called a charter. The city has a charter. We are to set policy, and then we are to hire a city manager who hires department heads to run the city. So just a few facts about Fort Worth. Fort Worth is 800,000 folks plus, and it has over 6,000 employees. So under the city's constitution, the charter, which is available online at fortworthtexas.gov, there are several officials that city council gets to appoint. The most important is the city manager. The form of government that Fort Worth has is what they call a manager-council form of government. So council sets policy. What does that mean? That means council approves an annual budget. Council directs that on major initiatives in the city. Also, city council members are the liaison, the constituent service aspect of government for residents in neighborhoods. So not only can you or your parents call the city specifically on issues, whether it be streets, public safety, libraries, parks, a lot of folks call or email or Facebook message or even tweet their council member, all right? So we are both a policy arm of the council and the constituent service, citizen services. Now, the manager of the city manager is a gentleman named David Cook. He is the president and CEO of the city, more or less. He's over 6,000 employees. They run the city day to day. The city council under the city charter also selects a city attorney, a city auditor, and we also select municipal court judges that have to be reappointed every 2 years. So if people get traffic tickets, they have to go before municipal court. The other thing we have under the charter is we get to ratify the selection of a fire chief or a police chief. Fort Worth just hired a new police chief named Joel Fitzgerald, who starts Tuesday, and the council ratified his appointment. Now, what does that mean? Well, under the city organizational chart, you have the city council, who selects the city manager and these other appointed officials. The other one I forgot to mention was city secretary. The city council also selects the city secretary, who is the official recorder of all proceedings. All of the city council meetings are available on the city's website. There's video, There's also minutes. We also are subject to what's called the Texas Open Meetings Act and the Texas Public Information Act. If you send an email to me, a citizen can request that email, and it's open to disclosure unless there's some exemptions. If the city's involved in litigation or there's an employee matter, those are exempt from public disclosure because we work for you. All right, now, the city manager then has several assistant city managers that we want to get to, then they're responsible for city departments. And what does the city do? Police, there's the police department. Fire, there's the fire department. Libraries, there's a library department. Parks, there's the parks department. And for your specific task, we have a transportation and public works department, which is responsible for city streets, city lights, street lights, stop signs, traffic control. That's transportation and public works. We also have a water department, right? Because the city of Fort Worth provides water to its citizens. Other departments include a planning and development department, human resources, and I mentioned these other departments: internal audit, city manager's office, city secretary's office, municipal courts department, and on and on. But for the main nuts and bolts, the city of Fort Worth provides city services: police, fire, streets, parks, libraries. Now, under all that structure, at the end of the day, the council members are out and we meet in neighborhoods. I'm not aware of an organized neighborhood association in this area. A few years ago, there was one that used to meet here at A.B. Cato on the Fort Worth side, because we're on the border with River Oaks and other municipalities, and they used to meet there at A.B. Cato. The name of the organization escapes me, but in the city of Fort Worth, we have a neighborhood office that works with neighborhood on neighborhood issues. And in fact, the city of Fort Worth has just created a new department called the Neighborhood and Housing Services Department, and we just hired a new director because that department is going to work with neighborhoods. In reading the summary of your project, you are concerned about the intersection of White Settlement Road and Churchill Road, and we get a lot of requests. Let me just go over a couple of guidelines. The city of Fort Worth does not fund speed bumps or speed humps. That was discontinued, so we don't do that to slow down traffic. Instead, we have a traffic engineering section or division in Transportation Public Works that, at the request of citizens or neighborhood groups, goes out and conducts a traffic study. So for anything, in order to make a change, let's say you want a stop sign or you want a school zone, they do a traffic study. And that merely is they put counters on the streets and they determine the volume of traffic. They also look at safety, and they have criteria. I will ask individuals from that department to come visit with you to give you specific criteria. But one of those, of course, is it safe to and from school? Is this near school? Schools are top priority. We call it, Safe Schools Initiative, right? We want people to be able to walk and drive to and from school safely. So schools are always a top priority. But the main thing that they're going to probably do first is a traffic study to see if it's warranted for that request. And typically, in the past, if it's not there, one of the questions was, is it a cost issue? I don't believe that's the case, because in the budget for the city of Fort Worth, while there are numerous requests for all sorts of stop signs, street lights, in this particular case, I don't think it's a cost issue. It's more, has anyone specifically asked the city of Fort Worth to look at that issue? They have, I'm not aware of it, but council members are not always aware of calls that go directly into Transportation and Public Works Department. So if you were to call the Streets Division and say, hey, there's some traffic issues here, I would not know about it. However, if you emailed me or sent something to my office, I would typically then forward it to the department heads and they would follow up. Because city council doesn't run the city day to day. That's the job of these guys. And then I forward the request from citizens. And typically the way it works is I'm the elected official, they jump on that request pretty quickly. So a lot of citizens have figured out that it makes sense to go to the city council. And that's why your teacher invited me to speak, because things happen. When you have 6,000 people working in the city, you gotta move a bureaucracy, right? Things can get delayed or slowed. So in a nutshell, that's what we have in the city of Fort Worth. And we just approved the budget. The city's budget runs from October 1 through September 30th. And these are big numbers I'm about to give you. It's over $1 billion, all of the funds in the city of Fort Worth. And we have what's called a general fund, which is over $584 million plus. That's where we collect property taxes, sales taxes, fees, fines, goes into this general fund. Then there's another fund, the water fund, that's just as big, where people pay their water bills. And on the water bill, you also pay your trash collection fee something called stormwater maintenance. So the city of Fort Worth is a $1 billion enterprise with 6,000 employees. So at this point, I'm going to open it up for questions, and I have some questions here that were asked. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time. And I'll go off this list too. What is the primary reason for not having a stoplight or a school zone on the intersection of White Settlement and Churchill Road? Is it due to money issues? I don't believe it's due to money issues. I'm just not aware of a specific request coming into my council office or aware of anyone asking Transportation Public Works Traffic Engineering. Now, that may be the case, but I'm not aware of that. Who is the person in charge of this issue? Well, as I indicated, we have a department called Transportation Public Works. The director is a gentleman named Doug Wersig, W-I-E-R-S-I-G. There is an assistant director who's a traffic engineer who would probably be responsible for this. His name is Alonso Linan, A-L-O-N-Z-O, Linan, L-I-N-A-N. All right? And the way you reach these folks is pretty simple. The City of Fort Worth's email address, right? Email is pretty easy. You would say Doug, D-O-G.Wersig, W-I-E-R-S-I-G, at fortworthtexas.gov, all spelled out, F-O-R-T-W-R-T-E-X-A-S.gov, right? And the same thing with Alonso Linan, Alonso.Lin at fortworthtexas.gov. Me, if you want to reach me, would be Sal.Espino, S-A-L.Espino, E-S-P-I-N-O, at fortworthtexas, all spelled out, .gov. And also I receive phone calls, 817-392. Now I have a lady that helps me. She's what we call the district director. Her name is Pilar Candia. She answers the phone. She looks at my emails and she follows up on these issues as well. She's like we used to have the term council aide, but that's not enough. She's more than just an aide or secretary. This person actually goes out with me to neighborhoods and also makes presentations. So change the title to district director. All right. But the person in charge of this issue, the one that's going to make the call about whether a stop sign or other speed limiting mechanisms, is the Transportation Public Works Department. Okay. What kind of information do you want to get from this presentation? Well, I think at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to depend on several things. I think the strongest argument you have is safety. You're at a school. It'd be interesting for the folks to know how many students come to Castleberry High School plus Irma Marsh. And then they'll have to do a count of vehicles, right, that come through here. And if there's any specific instances of dangerous situations, that would be helpful, right?
For instance, the new growth that's going to occur across the street, we could include that data as well.
Yes, ma'am, because as we go, we really give priorities to schools, and they're supposed to do a review every year before school starts and get with the principals of each of the schools about traffic around the schools. In fact, I think Transportation Public Works has a specific individual assigned to that. The name escapes me, but every year they do a review of traffic patterns around the schools, because that's #1 priority, right? We want our students and parents and teachers and everybody coming to and from school to be safe. So yes, that would be very helpful in making the case for why a traffic signal or some sort of other traffic control measure would be warranted there. That would be very helpful to include in that presentation.
Do y'all know what I'm speaking of?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be helpful to find out how many units, and where you get that information is on the city's website. If they have what they call a plat, which is a map of the subdivision, or if you have newspaper articles, a lot of that is public information. Just Google, if you know the name of the subdivision, it'll pop up with information. Do we have access to the records of past accidents to use in our presentation? Wow, well, as I told you, everything at the City of Fort Worth is subject to the Public Information Act. You can make what's called an open records request and obtain that information, but it takes time, and they do charge you a fee for the copies, and you would have to be very specific. Like, so you would want a record of accidents at the intersection of so-and-so from this period of time period. The narrower or more specific your request is, the easier it is to get processed. And it takes time, because there's some time limits on how to comply whenever you ask a governmental entity for a public record. They have so many days to respond, but that information is available because that's public information, okay? Has anyone in the past thought or actually come up with the idea of putting a light in a specific section? If so, has anyone disagreed? Again, I am not aware of anyone coming to our office or other council offices for that request. This is the first time I've heard that request. It does not mean that someone has not asked the Transportation Public Works Department for that request. And I guess I can find out for you if anyone's made that request to them. Also, I would like to have somebody from Transportation Public Works come to you and get even more technical, because these are traffic engineers. What are they looking for? What are their specific engineering and traffic data that they want? Is there anyone in particular you can contact to give us proper and correct information other than using the internet? Yes. I told you the traffic engineer, assistant director, transportation, public works, Alonso Linan, he's a resource. Doug Werzik, the director of transportation and public works. And I'm gonna ask one or both of them to come and also visit with you in person. Question 7, why have we not put a light there in the past? Money issues. We've already answered that. And what is going to be the best way for us to be able to get a hold of you? I give you my email address, and I'm gonna leave my business cards here. I don't know if I have enough, but I can make copies, and I'll leave them here for you guys. And let's see, what would be a good suggestion, would be a good breakdown of our presentation time? Okay, the other thing I want to tell you is, a lot of times at City Council, we meet every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, but there is a sign-up procedure. And you can sign up online on the city website, or you show up at the meeting 15 minutes before the meeting, sign up that day. Any citizen can come to City Hall on any Tuesday and speak, but they have to sign up 15 minutes before the meeting. If it's an individual, you get 3 minutes to speak. If it's a group of 10 or more people, you get 10 minutes to speak. The challenge is it's the end of the agenda. So you don't want to go on a night when we have zoning night. Zoning is usually the first Tuesday of the month or second Tuesday of the month. So the third Tuesday of the month is good, because if there's zoning refers to where, let's say someone wants to put a store in a neighborhood or a convenience store, they have to ask for a zoning change. And so then we have a lot of hearings on those issues. But basically, you can come down to City Hall any Tuesday at 7 o'clock and speak about any issue. It's called the First Amendment right in our Constitution. And it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be anything that's on the agenda. And we have citizens come time to time and make that presentation. If you're going to be in a large group, I suggest bringing 10 folks and making a presentation to the council. And we have multimedia. If you did a PowerPoint and showed, the video and showed evidence of the dangers, and we could put it up on the screen at City Hall. And these proceedings are live on regular cable TV, depending on who your cable provider is, and also they're streamed live on the internet, all right? And so we make that available. But if you're going to use multimedia, it's good to let the city secretary's office know ahead of time, and then you can give them a flash drive and they can connect it. And you get 10 minutes. So you'll get 10 minutes. Now, the other option is each of you can do 3 minutes, but then, how can I put it politely? If you give too much information or you go on too long, people tune out. So my rule has always been, get people's attention, make your 2-3 points, and close strong. Very effective. And then also, not only give them the video, but have a handout that you can pass out to people, and they have it there. So that not only do they capture the image of your PowerPoint and your video or whatever you have, but they also have a hard copy there. And be very brief, because council members and city folks are bombarded with a lot of information. Keep your points very brief on a public presentation. You can do a report to substantiate your claim of why these controls are needed and be detailed, right? And then once a resolution along this line has been agreed upon the council, what is a typical turnaround time for it to be completed? Well, let's say they do decide. It just depends on the work orders, workflow. But if it's something that's pretty immediately needed for safety, it shouldn't be that long of a turnaround time. I don't know the number of days or hours, but let's say they agree to do it and there's funds for it, it shouldn't take that long, right? Now, I'm not saying there's an unlimited supply of funding, but they do have in the budget every year, Transportation Public Works has an allocation for these traffic control measures, right? It's not unlimited, there is a finite number of funds, and it's prioritized. And I would think that anything like school is top priority. So these are the 10 questions. I think I've answered them. Does anyone have any questions about how the City of Fort Worth works, or streets, or traffic signals, stop signs? Yes, ma'am.
Would there be any hassles in installing a light there?
I can't imagine. So the big hurdle is going to be, is it justified? Now, you believe it is, right? But what is the specific criteria that, besides being near school? And I think they're going to look at traffic counts. I think she brought up a good point about the next subdivision. Someone brought up the issue of visibility because there's a hill. Those are all good points. But, you're going to have to make the case. And I think ultimately the traffic study is going to be a critical part of that. And that's done by the city's Transportation Public Works Department. But you need to tell them the times to be there, because sometimes you can do a traffic study and no one comes, right? Yes, sir.
If you were to do the presentation actually in the council,
Mhm.
for like the council meeting, we would have to put it in as a citizen, and wouldn't be any other way to put it in.
The other way is if you've already won, council votes on what's called an MNC, or Mayor Council Authorization. Council votes, like if there was an item to actually, in order to actually put it in, you'd already won, right? You could come and say thank you for bringing it, and you can make the presentation then. But if you're trying to advocate for it ahead of time, you can come during citizens' presentations. The other time, for it to be listed on the agenda, it's an item that council has to vote on. And typically those are funds, appropriations. Basically, the city council is the budgeting and appropriation and legislative branch of city government, right? So by the time we get to that, it means you've already proven your case. If you're trying to make the case, you want to get there in front of everybody early and say, look, this is important, and get it done that way. In other words, citizens' presentations are an opportunity for citizens to come to council about any issue affecting them in the city, right? And then there'll be a follow-up meeting where we probably vote to authorize the work. But by then you've already won, right? So you can make a second appearance and everybody can say thank you and show, and we can recognize all of you for your fine work. I hope that's where we get to. Yes, ma'am.
Is there an estimated cost?
Yes, but I don't have that in front of me. I don't know how much it costs to put up a traffic signal or a stop sign. I can't imagine it being, at least a stop sign. I want a traffic signal would probably be obviously more expensive, but I don't know the exact cost, how much it costs to put in a traffic signal. But we can get that to you. That's a good question. Yes, sir.
Any other things for the actual presentation in the zone where it might need?
Yeah, if I would say visual is good, videos, photos, anything that you can use to show how dangerous or unsafe the situation is.
It's a lot of evidence.
Yeah, a lot of evidence, like you see a lot of kids crossing, students, or then the traffic flow. It'd be good to highlight when school is out, this is what it looks like. When school begins, this is what it looks like.
You also, cross-country crosses in the dark right there at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
My son being one of those. So.
Yeah, so you might want to do like a sequential, this is the school, we have students coming as early as X, like she said, right? And these are the cross-country students, right? Then you have the traffic when school actually, and it's not just Castleberry High School, you also have Carmel March. Then you might want to show a picture and also where it is. The first thing is you got to tell the rest of the council where it's located. So some sort of map that shows where it is in the streets, and then go into the actual video, right? And data, how big is Castleberry High School? How big is Carmel March? How many students on a given day are in this area, right? And then I think that's all very helpful. And then show the traffic conditions at its peak time. And then hopefully you can get the accident data and then incorporate that into your presentation. And I'll have to visit with city staff on a public information request, because you can do that, but I might be able to expedite it, because they sometimes take a while. And, they have to comply with whatever the time limits are under the law. I can't remember if it's 7 or 14 days, but they can get that turned. We're trying to move to something called open data, where a lot of this stuff is readily available, but I'm not sure that just traffic accident reports are just readily available like that. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Would the best course of action be to talk to the engineers first and then do the traffic request?
Yes, I think what we need to do the next step is to have the traffic engineers come out here, visit with you about what they're looking for, and kind of give even more guidance than I have as to what specifically they're looking for. And but I think everything you've said so far is on point. And then they can give you a summary of how it works and give you cost figures, timelines. Of course, they may say it all depends on the city council appropriating this request, and that may be true. But and so that what I'll do with Mr. Ivy and you guys' permission, and guys, I can get somebody from the traffic engineering division here to speak with you also.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Anything else? Anything about city government? I guess the only other thing is, are you close to any trails? Do people use the street to get to the trails?
Yes.
So that would be another good consideration. I think that people use this street to get to trails and connect to the train trail system, which are the train trail system is very popular in the city of Fort Worth. And of course, White Settlement Road is a major connector. to downtown, because you go all the way down White Settlement Road, get to University, get to Henderson, and then you get it all the way down here and get to the River Roads Boulevard, and you connect to Ridgemont Mall on the next side 30. So that's the other good point. I mean, White Settlement Road is a pretty busy, what we call arterial street. You have your neighborhood streets, and you have arterials, and there's major arterials and minor arterials. So it's a very busy arterial street, you know, heavily traveled, heavily transverse. Anything else? No?
Thank you so
All
much.
right. All right. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna leave my cards here. I'll get with Mr. Ivy and schedule someone from the city